Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Ronsley, and this is episode number 40 of my AI Love Affair. I'm in the beautiful VaynerMedia offices here in New York. I'm in an edit suite recording this episode, and I'm excited because I'm collecting backgrounds. So, this is another one of them. And in today's very special tech stack, I'm going to talk about prompt engineering. I'm going to talk about a framework you can use, how to actually talk to the computers, what kind of context you're going to use to make your prompt really useful and actually get what you're really after out of artificial intelligence. All right, let's learn.
Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to this podcast, My AI Love Affair. Consider this podcast your digital compass, guiding you through the labyrinth that is business growth using artificial intelligence. Running a business as a creative can sometimes be like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But what if you had a secret tool that could align all the colors for you? That is AI. It's like a master key unlocking multiple doors. Thanks for being here. Let's learn.
So this is a prompt engineering workshop that I did before, but I wanted to record specifically tech stack for this podcast. I just want to highlight this with a couple of things before I start. Historically, we as entrepreneurs and creatives are very bad delegators. That's why most of us make up some really interesting excuses of why we don't have a team. Primarily, we've tried before, we've tried to delegate, we've had team, they just haven't done the things we expected them to do and how we wanted them to do it. So what has tend to happen is that we've created these reasons of why we are a single person entity and why only we can do it the right way. That's primarily because we are bad delegators. We don't actually give the whole information to the person exactly the way we want it and how we want it. So if you do not get by the end of the episode how to structure a prompt, the least you will get is how to delegate better, the different things you require when you're trying to ask someone else to do something that you'd like them to do the way you want them to do it. Okay. The other thing is we are going to learn delegate better. We're going to learn to delegate with context, which is important. And you can get all my recordings, all my notes, all my slides, all my prompts, and the original prompt engineering workshop on the Discord channel. So go to aigeeks.co/Discord and get into that community. Okay, you know about me, so I'm not going to go through that again, but in case you needed a reminder, this is my jam. I am so glad to have you here. Normally what happens when it comes to AI and prompts is we get generic responses, we get stuck and overwhelmed because we're like not really sure how to get what we want out of it, and we land up doing it like it's 1999. So it's like we've all kind of been at a point probably that we started to use machines to do things that we used to do by hand at one point. And that's what I mean by doing certain business activities, just like it's before, we tend to go back to the way we used to do them rather than doing it with some really cool tools. And what we want to happen is to have personalized and authentic responses. We want to execute at speed, and we want to use intelligence for good, which means to use it to augment our intelligence, not as a replacement to our intelligence. And what we tend to do, trying to go from problems to solutions without using the framework, is we land up playing with AI, doing some cool stuff, but it not actually being any business growth to go with all the AI that we're doing. We copy and paste from people who've just learned themselves. So a lot of business coaches, a lot of health coaches, a lot of new people just playing with ChatGPT for the first time are trying to teach others. And that's just like a 7th grader teaching a 6th grader something they just learned. And that doesn't work. Also, what tends to happen is we make the mistake of starting from a blank page. We don't get anything done, and we let others dictate play, and we don't land up finishing projects. And instead of that, I want us to follow the creator method. And there's 7 steps which I'm going to explain. So rather than go directly from problems to solutions and we make these mistakes, we want to go over the mistakes and use the framework to get to the solutions. And let me show you what that means. There are 7 steps to the creator method. The first is the most important, but it is not the one that is crucial. The second step is the crucial step. But the first step is about character. So if you want to get something out of artificial intelligence, if you can tell it what character you want it to play, it'll make a huge difference in how it will actually return results. What I mean by that is if you want a really good travel itinerary, ask it to act like a travel planner. If you want really good copy, ask it to act like a content writer. If you want really good marketing strategies, ask it to act like a marketing expert. So what character do you want AI to play when it comes to the prompt you're trying to write? That's the first one. The second is, what is the ultimate goal? Now, you can forget the character and just get to the ultimate goal, and it'll get you a very generic result. So what I mean by that is, if you want to say, for example, write me an article on artificial intelligence for business. That is the result. Very straightforward. But if you said, and you added a new variable, which is character, to that result, act like an expert storyteller and write me an article on artificial intelligence for business, that would make it a very good prompt, or a better prompt than the first one. Now, let's build on that. The third thing I wanted to think about is, what essential information would you like this prompt or this person acting to know in order to complete the task? So if you're saying, write me an article on artificial intelligence for business, you want to be able to give it important information. You want to be able to say, hey, act like an expert storyteller and write an article about artificial intelligence for business, and understand that I want to make sure that I communicate that 86% of people and businesses that have been surveyed in 2023 know they have to be involved in artificial intelligence, but they don't know how to get involved with it and where to start. So I'm saying, write an article on this topic, but the essential piece of information I need you to understand. That's number 3. Number 4 is, tell it what kind of approach you want it to use. So if you're going to give it that information as this essential stat for it to write the article, you can say, use that stat as a paragraph heading and make sure one of the paragraphs is relevant to that particular stat. And then you can say, once you have that paragraph, create an intro, create an outro. So you're trying to tell it what kind of steps and what kind of process you want it to follow in that 4th element, which is approach. Number 5 is tailoring. Give it any additional context. Say you want the article to be 500 words. Maybe you want there to be sensory language in the way it expresses the storytelling in the actual article. Maybe you want it to be relevant to the particular person that is going to be reading it. So how do you want to give it additional context? And that's the tailoring aspect for prompting. And number 6, how do you want it to come out? Do you want it to write it in a table? Do you want it to be formatted? Do you want it simple text? Do you want it to be in Markdown? Do you want it to have H1 headings? How do you want your output to be structured? Do you want it in bullet points? Do you want it in a paragraph? That can also help you create a very unique prompt that will actually give you results. And then finally, who is the person receiving it? Right? Who are you writing it for? If it's an email, if it's an article, who is the audience that's reading it? And accordingly, if you have all these elements when you construct a prompt, you are able to create something that's very unique and a very good prompt to actually get you the result that you're after. And result, even though it's a second piece of this creator 7-step framework, it is the most important piece. So if you start with the result, then you can figure out what character is to get the result. And then you can start going and saying, these are the essential pieces that's required to get the result. This is the approach I want you to take with the essential pieces I've given you. This is how you tailor it with the the additional context that I'm giving you. This is how I'd like the output to be, and this is who's reading it. And that's how I'd like you to create your prompts. If you create your prompts like this, there is no doubt in my mind that you will have some amazing prompts that you create. If you want this particular worksheet so that you can practice and also see my notes, then go to the Discord channel, because it's all in there and all you got to do is copy and paste. So use this to your advantage and find the video that I create next on how we as artificial intelligence enthusiasts and business owners and creatives need to think about AI, because these values and these commandments are really important. If we can understand the principles and the frameworks and the foundations of how to use it ethically and with empathy, everything else is going to be a steal. So join me for the next episode. Go check the previous back catalog on myailoveaffair.com. And as always, do what you love what you do.
Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co/Discord. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI Geek. Until then, much love.